standout plot point of The Wizard of Oz is one girl sets out to solve a problem and picks up a bunch of weirdos on the way with their own issues to solve. It turns out that plot motif is a well-worn fairy tale plot popping up in folklore all across the world. Ireland's The Queen of the Planets is one such tale, and you should stick around because it's gonna get weird.
Fucked up fairy tales with Liz.
Ding! First off, big content warning for multiple fake unalivings. Are we still doing that? Are we still doing the censoring thing? Anyway, it's a lot. Once there was a young man with a lot of family baggage. See, his dad had had a kind heart, but when he died, his funeral day was so stormy, no one showed up to mourn him. Now, his mother was a stone-cold bitch, but her funeral was the sunniest, warmest day Ireland had ever seen, and this pissed their kid off. He decided to ask the universe why his dad was so dishonored. He set out on a long journey. On his first night of rest, he stayed with a widow and her 3 daughters. When she found out he was seeking big answers to big questions, she offered one of her own.
While you're talking to the head of the universe, can you ask why they refuse to get my eldest daughter married off? Everyone wants to marry the younger ones, but no one ever notices my firstborn.
I'll do what I can, but why do you have to marry them off in birth order?
Taming of the shrew rules.
On his next day of rest, he stayed with a blacksmith, and the blacksmith also had a question for the wonderful wizard of the universe.
Ask the universe why I work first thing Monday morning until late on Saturday night, yet I can't save a single penny.
You know, that's a great question I bet a lot of people want answered. On his 3rd night of rest, the man stayed with a farmer, and the farmer had his own query for whoever it was this man was going to see with his questions.
There's this big hole in my roof, and no matter what I do, I can't get it to hold when it rains. Can you find out the secret to thatching it?
I'm not sure why your problem has the same stakes as mine does, but I'll see what I can do. On his 4th night of rest, well, the man walked for a long time before he reached a dwelling. And this house was large and warm and welcoming, but it appeared to be empty. The man let himself in and sat down at the table, and eventually a beautiful, generous woman showed up. She made a meal for him, she drew a bath for him, and they got to chatting around the fire. They were really vibing. And after a long night of shooting the shit, the woman showed the man to her guest room. The room had no door, and the way the bed was situated, he could see into the kitchen, and his mind was too busy to fall asleep, which is why he witnessed the woman's alarming nighttime routine. First, she put a giant pot of water to boil on the fire and dove into it. She dove back out momentarily, seemingly unharmed. And then, and here's where it's going to get fucking rough. She hung herself from the rafters until she was dead, and she was dead for a while, and then she came back to life. And then she took a razor and she cut her throat, and she just bled out on the floor and was dead for a while, and then came back to life. And then she dumped a big sack of money on the floor and counted it and put it back in the bag. And last thing, she put on a silk dress, picked up a book, and read for a while. Because after you yourself 3 times, you want to make sure you count your change and unwind. Eventually, she got tired of the book, and she checked on the man in bed. Honey, are you asleep? Nope. So you saw my whole nighttime routine? I'll never forget it. Have you ever heard of the Queen of the Planets? Hey, that's the name of the fairy tale. And the name of me. I bet you have a lot of questions about what you just saw. I can't even remember the questions I arrived with. Then let me explain. It's actually quite simple. Each of the rituals I just performed, that determines the life or death of the people born during the time I was performing it. So when I jumped into that pot of boiling water, any child born during the time I was in there will die in the same way. In a pot of boiling water? And any child that was born during the time I was hanging from the rafters is going to die that way. What the hell is wrong with you? Anyone born while I was bleeding out on the ground will die that way. Why would you pick such gory deaths? And any kid born while I was counting change will be rich, and any child born while I was reading will be smart. How about you do more of that and less of the other stuff, for fuck's sake? Now, let's talk about the answers to all of the questions you brought me. First off, stop worrying about those rainy days of your father's funeral. He lived such a good, kind, wonderful life, and he was blessed so much by those who loved him that his purgatory was only 2 days. He's chilling out up in paradise now, his feet up and his mind free. Now, as for your mother, well, she was a fucking piece of work, so she is currently running from 2 demon dogs who are trying to devour her. When you get home, she's going to appear before you and run at you with her mouth open as if to devour you. But all you have to do is take an apple and throw it in her mouth like a carnival game, and that'll take care of that. How? Okay, well, spoiler alert! As for everyone else's questions who couldn't bother to haul ass over to my house, tell the widow to carry her eldest daughter on her back like piggyback style to church for the next few weeks, and that'll get everyone talking. In a good way? Tell the smith that no luck ever followed anyone who worked from Monday morning to Saturday night. Duh. That's really all you got for that poor bastard? And tell the farmer to give back the straw he stole to thatch his roof, and that'll change his luck. That's all about karma, baby. You're really not gonna help the poor guy more? The man returned home the next day, and sure enough, he met his mother's spirit on the way home, and she was running away from 2 giant dogs and right at him with her mouth open wide like a shark. He tossed an apple, and it went straight down her throat, whereupon she turned into a lump of jelly. I am so glad she didn't spoil that. The 2 dogs turned tail and left because no one wants to hang out with whatever Demi Moore was at the end of The Substance, or one of those Stranger Things meat monsters. The man stopped at each of the lodgings he visited on his way to the Queen of the Planets, and he relayed her sometimes lackluster advice. But, you know what? It worked out for everyone. The widow's daughter met someone who thought she looked real good taking a piggyback. The smith changed his schedule to Tuesdays to Fridays and started making money, 'cause I guess Garfield's rule of Mondays applied? I don't know. And the farmer changed his thieving ways. As for all those poor people that are going to die by hanging cutthroat and boiling to death, well, the Wizard of Oz's gifts don't seem so useless now, do they? The end. Did you like digging into that weird old Irish fairy tale? Boy, do I have a bunch of weird old fairy tales for you to enjoy in this here book. It is, in fact, a book that I wrote, Up Fairy Tales, and you can get it wherever you get books, and I hope you do.